I'm Stefan Baumann. Welcome to the Grand View. America's national parks through the eyes of an artist. So the homework assignment this week was a smashed plastic bottle. Now, why did I choose that as a subject matter?
It's a challenge.
It is a challenge. It is a huge challenge. One, it was something that you normally wouldn't paint otherwise. Two, I have a lot of students that ask me, how do you paint a wine glass? It's like they actually want me to sit down and paint them a wine glass. And I go, what color wine glass? How thick is the wine glass? Is it lit or is it empty? You know, there's a lot of things. If I died tomorrow, and I never showed you how to paint a wine glass, could you paint a wine glass? You should. You learn to paint what you see and you paint what you see. The reason why I give you these homework assignments is to give you something to look at, that you have to look at it. You have to ask yourself some questions. Not like, oh, show me the rules on how to paint a wine glass. In fact, I told you those rule books that say, you know, 101 ways to paint things, and they show you a copper pot and a wine glass and stuff. Those are futile. Those are stupid. In fact, it's stupid to have anybody show you how to paint something, because all you walk away with is one version of how they would paint it. The whole idea behind painting is, how would you paint that? And in order to do that, you have to look at it. And when you're looking at it, you have a different opinion on it than somebody else does. You know, you have a different way of looking at things than other. If you don't, then you need to have a coach that says, look at this, look at that, see that. So a plastic bottle is very similar to a wine glass, except when it's squished, it has reflections and all kinds of things. But ultimately, we're not after a plastic bottle that's smashed. We're looking at seeing, because we're not only just forming a thing, which that is, but we're also looking for how light works on it, how the reflections work on it. Can you put it somewhere in the painting that makes sense? How do you work the rest of the painting on it? You know, how do you balance that out? How's the composition put together? How are the transitions? All of these other things that go into a really great painting. So if you just painted a painting of a smashed water bottle, you learn something, but there's so much more. Especially when I give you something that is kind of, I mean, I had students in one of my other classes that wrote on the corner of it, painting trash, really? You know? And they looked at it as trash, and they didn't even really bother. That was actually a sketch that they did on paper. They didn't even bother taking it to, because for them it's rubbish. For me it's beauty. And for some of you that did it, you guys were actually surprised. Wow, that was actually an interesting, what did you think about doing it?
It was really interesting.
Yeah, you not only did it once, you did it twice.
3 times.
3 times, those 3 of them here? Now, let's talk about being motivated. You know, I give you motivation speeches every week. I mean, I am like the master of motivation. I whip you guys every week. Where's this? Where's this? And ultimately, every week I tell you the same thing. It's like, oh, when I tell you to do the homework assignment, you think, oh, really? No, not this week. That's just awful. And then those that actually end up doing it, they go, wow, that was really a great experience. And then the people who didn't do it go, I should have done that. And then I give you something even more bizarre than that at homework. You go, but that's going too far. It's like the last week I would have gone, but now we've gone really too far. It's like, had you just done last week's homework assignment, I would have done it because I saw a possibility. But now you just went into the trash can with your thing. And yet, if you want to win an award, you want to get into the Triton Museum?
I'm not going to try. It's a statewide program.
Doesn't matter. No, what do you mean? That's defeating. No. You have to try. But you will probably get in by doing one of our homework assignments as opposed to what you usually do. Because what we do is we take ordinary trash and create extraordinary work. So much so that the people who actually do the homework assignment actually have a new appreciation for what they're looking at. And so some of these contemporary shows, because we're more into traditional painting, some of the contemporary shows, like the Rogue Gallery up in Oregon, you know, they're definitely a contemporary gallery. And some of my students have gotten into their show because they've done the homework assignment, which was done traditionally, but contemporary subject matter. What's more contemporary than the controversial use of plastic bottles, which for a little bit of water that cost you more than oil. You spend more money on a bottle of water than you do a gallon of gas. Think about that. And then you have this byproduct bottle that lasts for 100 years. It doesn't decay. It fills our reservoirs, and the ocean's filled with all of this stuff. So you're buying something that you're paying way too much for that you can get free on other hands. And then you are supporting this. So like controversial, time, I mean, anything that has to do with conservation, anything, it's so timely to do something like this. Anything that would be, I mean, imagine taking a smashed plastic bottle and not just do it this, but do it this size. Okay? And do it so realistic that people from that walk into the gallery immediately see it from the other side of the room. Talk about contemporary. You'll get into the Triton with something like that. See? That's what they're looking for. And if you do it expertly, exquisitely, with good composition, good lighting, if you can arrange, you will win awards and win awards. I know, because my students who have done these homework assignments have won in shows that they had no way of winning because they took it on. Controversial subject matters, interesting subject matters, things that you dispose of and you pop up and say, here, look at this. All of a sudden, my students wrote trash on here, and everybody else in the room produced diamonds out of it. The difference between a rock and a diamond is your perspective, right? Somebody has to cut into it and see it. So you're going to produce some extraordinary work painting trash. Yes, I know. But you can paint it in such a way that it's extraordinary. Have us take another look at it. And you will learn how to paint everything, because Mrs. Gugulinski, paint what you see. That's the biggest one rule I have. You don't need me to be your teacher. You don't need me to show you how to paint a wine glass. That'd be a waste of time. Be a waste of my time, and it'd be a waste of your time. I don't do these YouTube videos. A lot of people don't watch my site because I don't do that, because it's a waste of time. It's a good way for them to spend 20 or 30 minutes getting nothing. Because when they look at the subject matter, they have to look at it the way they look at it and interpret it the way they look at it. You're not going to learn something vicariously by watching somebody else do it. So I will not sit there and paint a wine glass for somebody, because it does you nothing. I would much rather see you try to attempt to do it and tell you what you're doing wrong. And by looking at how you're looking at it and saying, don't look at it this way, but notice this. Now you actually can create that, and it's yours, not a variation of mine. Okay, so I won't paint you a wine glass, but we will definitely look at how our subject matter looks by looking at something as stupid as a smashed water bottle. So let's take a look at these supposed smashed water bottles. I can always tell whether or not my homework assignments resonate by how many people actually do it. So if I said, go home and paint a bottle and a glass of wine, with a little bit of bread or an hors d'oeuvre next to it, probably all of you would go home and do that. But if I say paint a piece of trash, you're like, well, one person did 3, and then there are 2 others. It's like 3 others. So not that that doesn't mean anything, but you know, it does kind of speak to me a little bit about how people view things. Okay. So what were you thinking?
I started this with the olive color canvas.
Mm-hmm.
and I tried to make that black. You know, it was so hard to make the consistent, the black.
Mm-hmm.
Huh?
What was it sitting on?
It's on the glassy black.
Glossy black.
Yeah.
Okay. So what was it, a piece of glass or
No,
linoleum?
it's actually on the top of the computer.
Okay, so it's like a black computer? Okay. So we have this interesting effect here. Now, some of my students that worked on this homework assignment actually put that bottle with beautiful lighting on a mirror. And so now what you had was the reflection of the bottle in the mirror. And like that in itself is an effect. So, and the whole idea is not to paint a plastic bottle, but be so fascinated with how light and shadows will fall onto that bottle, or some other effect like on a mirror, that you forget that you're looking at a piece of trash, right? So what we have here is a beautiful rendition. You can see she studied, you know, is there any question that that's a plastic bottle? So we know already that she's really looked at it, she's really studied it. She has a little lid over here, okay? Where did that come from? From the bottle itself, because we know that. One of the things that we also have on plastic bottles is the other little plastic ring that goes around. You know, and that could be another little element that you take off that we're all familiar with. And you can use it as a design element, even leaning it up against this here so that you don't end up with just one little circle. But compositionally wise, if we move the bottle to the right and have the light coming from the left, it'd be more interesting than having the bottle in the middle.
Okay.
This here kind of dumps out in here and we have a very short. And yet for eye magnets, look at this arch here. Okay, if you move that over here, this is blank surface. If you move the bottle over to this side here and created even a strong eye magnet in the reflection and brought the viewer over here and left that bottle there, then this arch would point right down to there, creating some movement in the painting, a better composition. So it's just a little stiff, okay? Which is the second.
Pastel.
Then the pastel, which is this. Okay. Yeah. So here we go. So she went from oil paints into pastel. Now I've never said to anybody, oh, this is just a painting class. In fact, in my workshop, oftentimes I will have 2 or 3 pastel artists and a watercolorist. And since I don't work on students' paintings in the workshop or in my classes per se, and especially the homework assignments, you could do this on anything. In fact, the one gal that wrote trash did it in her sketchbook. And she said, well, I thought this was so stupid that I didn't even bother putting it on the canvas. I just did an ink drawing of it. And I said, perfect. You spend some time, I could tell you looked at the bottle for a while and you trained your eye and you got something. And you don't know if you got something right now, but I guarantee you the next time you're looking at something that's complicated, you'll think about this. And all of a sudden you go, well, I'll just go through the same process. So what were you thinking about doing in pastel? Why?
Well, because of the black, background, and I found this pastel black paper, so I said, I'm gonna try with this paper.
Okay, so you had a piece of black paper. So you ended up just putting the highlights in there, allowing that. Now, with oil painting, you could go in and just compare the values and put those in there. Again, almost a rendition of the last painting you did in pastel. You didn't try anything else.
Yeah.
In the Power to Create class, I asked students to do 5 paintings a week of the same subject matter. And what I do is I tell them the first 1 or 2 is easy, but I don't want to see the same thing over and over and over again. You have to change it up. So by doing 3 more, you have to, just out of sheer boredom, you're going to do something else with it. Stand it up, set it down, tear it apart. I don't care what you do with it, but the thing is you would do something with it. And so, but what you did was you actually did the same thing in pastel. Was that really good use of time? Probably not. Although the pastel is a little fresher than your oil painting that we just saw. I don't know which one is better. I actually like the oil painting better. There's something about having that method painting. You got to watch out for that. That's that paint the background one color. Remember Bob Ross paint the background one color and then you put the trees on top. That's not the way, it's great for doing toll painting, but that's not the way painters work. Okay, so they paint and they put in the darks and lights and manipulate them and change them and stuff. So, but again, same composition, really nicely done. And then our third rendition,
Well, the same composition.
it's the same composition.
I was so, how it's gonna work really.
Okay, now you know what the definition of being crazy is. Doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting a different result. Okay. And so what you did was you did 3 paintings exactly the same over and over and over again with absolutely no different outcome whatsoever. I mean, neither one of these are, in fact, I would say probably your first one was actually the best one. And you could have just ended it like that and you could have ended up doing something else. Getting out of that and into this. So what's happening here? Whose is this?
Mine.
So is this your smashed water bottle?
Good to the last drop.
So what you have is a smashed water bottle here, tipped over like somebody squoze it, squeezed it. SQUOZE it, I think that's the term I got from you, SQUOZE it. Southern, is that really a proper Southern or is that just a Judaism? SQUOZE the bottle like you do. Yeah, I always love that when people serve you wine in some really fine wine places and they serve the wine and they get to the bottle and they start twisting the bottle in their hand like, you're going to twist something out. It's just, so you have that into a water glass. And what's really awesome about that is that it is what's supposed to be in the bottle, in the glass, a glass of water, bottle. But the thing is, I don't think you have any water in there, do you? Is there any water in there? It's like there's nothing left in the bottle. And here what I would have to say is it's a very small canvas. So, my relationship to the water bottle, especially a water bottle in comparison to a glass, my first thing when I think of water bottle, I think of it as being bigger than the glass or the same size. And it was a small one, which kind of gets you kind of thinking that's a really kind of big glass. That's the first thing. I would like to have seen it a little bit better. But realistically, the water bottle is done so exquisitely that I don't know if the glass had to be there to complicate the subject matter, although I like the story. You've got to watch out being clever, because sometimes the cleverness takes away from the quality of painting. And so you could kind of come up with a really clever thing to do with a water bottle, but then that cleverness, like an action of some kind, takes away from our experiences. It's an odd experience. You wouldn't quite be squeezing a water bottle like that into a glass.
The reason I did it this way was because I couldn't get the shadows that I wanted with the SQUOZE water bottle down on the surface of the light box. So I wanted to get the water bottle up to where I could...
So what you're trying to do is get the effect of that.
The shadows.
I like that idea.
I thought that was a lot more interesting than just the shadow when the water bottle was down on the surface.
Yeah, but yet the action of the bottle and the glass is so brilliant and bright and clever that I'm not even bothering looking at what you're trying to focus in, and that's that secondary light source.
But I was also trying to use the shadow as eye magnets to get you back up and around.
I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying, it's like, so what you're looking at is almost like a triangle.
Right.
Yeah. And I would say, is that a water glass? Yes. Does that look like a transparent bottle? Beautifully painted. Do I feel that you have the light effect on the wall? Absolutely. Do I think you're probably making it a little more complicated? That could be good. Because if you don't go that direction, you'll stay in the same place all the time. So I would probably give this like a AAA. It really is a really great... The job you did on it was beautiful. You reaching out for something more is awesome. The idea when you said, oftentimes when students go, well, I was trying to do this and this and this, but they didn't accomplish it, the fact that they were trying to do it, like trying to get the eye magnets in, that's awesome because at least you're trying to do something than just what's there. And so I think it's really done, and it's exquisitely painted. I think just looking at the bottle itself is exquisite. The glass is noble. It's, to take that glass on is noble. That's the thing. A lot of people say, how do you paint a water glass? Well, I never showed you how to paint a water glass. You just looked at it. That's the beauty of these homework assignments. So touche.